In terms of what we're going through here in Toronto, post-G20, the elites and the forces of capitalist globalization had once again thrown money and more violence at us. They were elevating their attacks, and we had to respond by continuing to organize still more effectively. In Toronto, we became cognizant that there were so many different groups doing so much great work, but that most of them were operating largely separate from each other. From that, the present-day idea for the People's Assembly took shape as a vision for a mechanism through which the entire community could operate together toward collective dialogue and community empowerment. And the presence of so many different groups here today and the collective manifestation of this very unique feature of the movement illustrates the power of diversity. We want our community organizing to create the capacity to effectuate change in all aspects of everyday lives. Shopping at farmers markets, riding your bicycles, growing your own food, for example. These acts in themselves don't make a measurable difference, but when many people do this and when we combine our organizing efforts on all levels, we will eventually begin to see results. And this is what we have organizations here today from all spheres and orbits to provide the knowledge and resources in order to facilitate the possibility of changing the way we run our community in Toronto. I read recently, and I'm quoting from a book, that revolutionary change does not come as one cataclysmic moment, but as an endless succession of surprises, moving zigzag toward a more decent society. We don't have to engage in grand heroic actions to participate in the process of change. Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world. And that's a quote by Howard Zinn. So what we're saying is that we can rebuild and recreate our city and our world today by carving out our community spaces, by building urban gardens, by nurturing a culture of life, by reclaiming our communities library by library, community center by community center, block by block, and neighborhood by neighborhood. We also want to stress that the People's Assemblies and the building of a movement are both linked to process very intimately, and that process takes time. There is a saying, you must first be organized in your own life if you wish to organize in your community and internationally. Well, it's clear that in this system of overproduction, overconsumption, overprice, overwork, and overstress, people don't always have much freedom to nurture and to practice the things that matter to them. With the Assembly, we want to create a situation where there is one element of organizing to match every one aspect of everyday life. We need to begin building of collective networks of support so that we can start relying on ourselves and on our communities to empower through self-sufficiency instead of depending on the state and the system that aims to make us compliant and dispensable. To do this, we must identify that the chains of oppression, but also the keys to self-determination, are omnipresent in the way we live. There should be no division between our community organizing and our everyday lives. We have to stop wasting our energies into the system that blanks us and drains us, and instead release and invest our creative energy into the community infrastructure and the ideas that can empower us with the potency to resist and the capacity to create our own world. The state aims to cut down and to commodify our spaces, and that means less space for leisure, less space for education, less space for cyclists, less space for growing food, less space for culture, less space for people. That is why we must organize ourselves in a way to retake these fundamental elements of our community and to rebuild them if they have been slashed. The Assembly is placed at your disposal today to become a collective expression of the community as one unified yet diverse voice. We are presenting the Assembly as a hollow shell, if you will, to be filled. The content, the inspiration, the substance, the ideas, and the flesh for the Assembly has to come from everyone here, has to come from people.